we're all very excited to have such a legend in sci-fi to grace us with her appearance here at the River City Comic Expo. Not many people may know this, but Nichelle Nichols, clearly an actress, also a singer, used to sing with Duke Ellington. And of course, her most famous role is the communications officer, Lieutenant Uhura, in the original Star Trek and the subsequent movies. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your all rise for Nichelle Nichols.
I'm almost here. Thank you so very, very much. Sweat? Yes, thanks. Oops, I'm fine.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Now that I'm before all these beautiful people.
Right?
That's the ham talking.
We're very, very happy that you've made it here to Little Rock. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure. I'm really thrilled to be here because they wanted me to come some time ago, and I was booked otherwise, and I couldn't get out of it to come. And so I thought, well, they're not going to invite me anymore. But you did, and I thank you, and I'm here. Hello. And thank you.
Okay.
And thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm thrilled beyond measure that I get to be kind of the go-between and the moderator of this panel. So it's one of the highlights of my personal, very, very terrible show business career.
I'm not too sure how good I'll be at it, but I'll do my best.
Oh no, I'm sure you're fine. I'm also sure that a number of folks here have questions that they would love to ask you. So if you do have a question, will you please, there's a microphone here in the middle of the aisle. If you would don't be shy, just go ahead and stand up. Let's go ahead and start a queue behind the mic, if we will. And let's try to keep the everything flowing very, very smoothly. And state your name and let us know what you would like Ms. Nichols to answer, please.
My name's John Paul, and my question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name.
John Paul.
Hi, John.
Okay. And I was wondering if I understand that during the 90s, Star Trek kind of lost its popularity for a while, and I was wondering.
I wasn't aware of that. Nobody told me. You can't hear me?
Okay. This water's for you.
Oh, because my voice is dry?
Okay, well, anyway, do you think people were just sort of getting tired of seeing the same old kinds of characters doing the exact same kinds of things as all the other franchises, or was it that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay. Oh.
Why?
I remember when I was going through school, it wasn't very popular, and now after the reboot, it all of a sudden became cool again.
Next.
You're not the only one. I also don't remember a slump in the popularity at all. I don't know. It's a personal opinion, I think. Yes, ma'am, please.
My name's Melinda, and I would like to know what you see as the greatest impact that Star Trek has had on culture of today.
I thank you for that question. I think that Star Trek had an impact because so many of you, the fans, wrote in constantly different questions that our producer and creator went like, "That's a good question," and he used that in every episode. There would have been someone who called in or wrote in and had questions about something in the show, and one of them was, "Why don't we see more of Nichelle Nichols?" So I want to, if you're out there, if you're out there, I want you to know it worked. And I'm delighted. And thank you. Yes.
Afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So the fans of Star Trek have really kept it alive, not only with the official releases, but also they've made a lot of fan films over the years. I think you've participated in some. Recently, CBS shut down a really popular fan film from being made. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on that?
They didn't know what they were doing. So I don't know what they were doing. Yes.
Hello. My name's Kayla. I wanted to start with saying I was born in '91 and I was raised from birth on Star Trek, so it was very popular in my home. But mainly I was curious because Star Trek has a very specific style to it, and the acting for all of it is so cohesive and fantastical while also being very based in reality. And your character especially was always so fascinating to watch. What was your process once you got script in hand? What was your process then up to filming, character-wise and preparation-wise?
Well, I worked on creating the character from what Gene Roddenberry intended it to be. And so I went into him one day and I said, "What did you mean by this? Where is this going?" And so forth. And he says, "I don't know. You haven't done it yet." And I looked at him and I said, "Huh?" And that was the first time that I knew he so loved the characters that he created. He actually created them from meeting from putting it together and hiring a talent for this role. The role he had so many roles, X amount of roles, and he hired X amount of people. He rewrote roles as he's hired people, because he hired people who, when he interviewed them, they either excited him and had to go in, or they, "Thank you very much. I'm so glad you came in to meet." And that's the way he did it.
Wow. So was it more of an interview process than
If
an
I'm
audition
lying,
process?
he's flying, because that's what he told me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Ms. Nichols. My name is Jay Jackson.
Hey, Jay.
We met yesterday, and I just want to say you really made my day. It was fantastic meeting you. Thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you.
My question is in regards to the impact when we talk about the cultural impact that that Star Trek in general has had, and that you in your role in particular has had on American culture. My question to you is: was that something that was foreseen at the outset, in the beginning of Trek? Could you imagine that it became the thing that it became?
That's a question you'll have to ask Gene Roddenberry if you see him.
Maybe one of these days in the hereafter.
Let us know. We'd like to know too. But I do know that each actor that he hired, he interviewed extensively. And you began to realize that you were seeing yourself after you got hired, because a lot of stuff was in the interview, and he created the characters. When he found an actor who he wanted, he not only let the actor create fit into the character, he many times rewrote the character for the actor that he was hiring. And I thought I never heard of anything like that, because most directors or people producers won't tell you. But they do, they are influenced by people that they interview and talk to, because those are the people that are going to live the lives of that character. So he kind of goes backwards to go forward, if you know what I mean. So in the interview, he takes from the interview and he gives to you in that interview. So it was sort of like him and me, because I could go to him and talk to him. I and any of the other actors could go to him and talk to him about something in the character or in the show that they didn't like or did like or felt like should be. He would listen to them. And if it went where he hoped it would come, or you hoped it would go in him, you'd see yourself. And so when I was hired and when I was interviewed, I spoke to him about the character that I had read, and I said something like, well, what if she, then the next thing I knew it was there, or it wasn't, Right. So it either fit into where he wanted it to go or you to become, or he tossed it out and went and, kept going. But he was a brilliant writer and a creator, and I loved working for him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Roslyn. I would just like to say that one of the things that I really enjoyed, and I think that a lot of people found inspiring about your character, is that she was nobody's ornament. You embodied such dignity and professionalism that it really, I think, helped people take women a lot more seriously. And so I just wanted to know if there had been something that a fan ever said to you that really touched you over the years.
One of the beautiful things about doing that show was Gene would talk to you about the character, and then you knew that you could bring in to him and talk to him about what you thought, and he would either let you use some of that, all of it, or create on that. And sometimes I think characters in the show, roles grew because they brought in what they thought about the role. And it was, when they used it, it was usable. You know, it was really, the director, the producer who wrote it went, that's what I meant, you know. What do you want to know? What? Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you repeat the question again?
Oh, she already sat down.
I've got the question. Thank you. Give her back her seat, please. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So in 1970, I was in Washington, D.C., and I watched Star Trek. My name's Carol.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was so busy being
right.
smart-ass. I didn't hear what you said.
Fine.
What didn't you like about that? Smart? What was it?
My name's Caroline, and in 1970, I was in Washington, D.C., and my husband and I watched Star Trek every Friday night at 9 o'clock. And I grew up with you, and I saw that character develop, and I really appreciated, like the other woman said, how much of you I got to know, how much of the other characters I got to know. And then I've watched the reruns, and I've listened to the various tapes about how Gene wrote and what he did, and then now I can watch it repeat over and over, and then you get Netflix and all that other stuff. I don't ever see it dying. I mean, I never saw it go down. I don't know where you were, but I never saw it go down. And I just want to say...
You don't answer.
Right. And I just want to say that I'm glad I got to know you through that character. And I'm wondering if you watch the show now at all, and see how you changed within the show, how that is for you.
That's a good question. I think an actor who does a memorable role, when they get to see it from here on the screen, I don't start changing it. You know, I don't say, oh, I should have done that or this or the other. But when it's something valid, it comes in anyway. Because valid means to me, when you say to me this about this role, I know that you know me through that role. And you often say something to me that I didn't know I did that. Or, is that all? You know, but you do, you know, as an actor, the people watching affect you as much as you affect the audience, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank God.
Take the microphone down. Y'all tall. I guess there's no equality for short people, huh? I guess not. Okay. Hey, Queen, how are you?
Thank you, darling.
My question is really, I guess, a two-part question. The first part is that I know that your role, especially being one of the first roles for an African American woman that wasn't degrading, not a slave or a servant, and
Yeah, it was the first.
yes, ma'am.
TV.
And with that, I also, I don't know if it's fact or fiction, but I read that you were also thinking of giving up the role and going to something else, but Martin Luther King Jr. talked you into staying. What is it that he said to you?
You can't. And I didn't. I really felt like saying, what you talking about, Dr. Martin Luther King? But to tell you the truth, he was my leader, and when he said I couldn't, I couldn't. I didn't, I wouldn't. And I'm glad, I am so grateful for his order that I stayed, and I found myself looking into the character like he was talking about. Not exactly what he said, but that he was looking into the character and actually seeing beyond what I was delivering. He was buying into it and buying what I said. Maybe I didn't say it that way, but I found that that's what I was doing to myself. I would do something within it, and I'd come away going, yeah, I kind of like that, you know, and I would create a little more, but I'd go to the director, I'd go to the creator, and talk to him about it. And he would either go, why didn't I think of that? Or he'd say, you know, well, no, whatever. And I'd sneak it in as I could.
Anyway.
And fortunately, most of the time, he liked it. And knock on wood.
Oh, and I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Brianna Nichelle, by the way. And my second question was, if your name was in the dictionary, what would be the definition?
Duh. I create as I go, so I would have to have been on that show longer than I was, longer than the show lasted, to be able to look back and answer that question, you know, honestly.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Crystal Cornelius, and great minds think alike because I had the same question about Dr. Martin Luther King. So I just want to say, as a Black woman who loves sci-fi, thank you for being such an empowering, just stalwart symbol in this genre that there's not many reflections of us, and you are just it. And thank you so much for being there and staying with us.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think that I could add anything to that of significance. Thank you very much.
We can take maybe two more questions. I'm sorry for the folks in the back of the line. Let's take about two more questions. And
not counting him.
Not counting the little guy. That's right.
He's already told her what to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Tracy.
Hello there.
And I was about his size when Star Trek came on, and if it gives any credence to anything that Dr. King...
a little taller than
If it gives any credence to anything Dr. King had to say, I wanted to be her when I grew up.
Oh,
I absolutely adored you.
I thank you so much.
My question, did you realize at the time, you or anybody else in the cast, did you realize what a social groundbreaker the show was to have such a diverse cast and nobody was typecast in any stereotypical roles? Everybody was a leader on this show. Did you realize at the time?
My goodness. You are so right. I mean, it's just to hear you say that, makes me realize all over again and again and again, that what was created was being created out there, coming in, if you know what I mean. If I created something and I put it on TV, and what happened to our show happened on every show would be great. Star Trek. We were able to live the show, and we would talk to each other. Sometime about their role, sometime about our own role. But if we talked to each other about the other persons, what they were doing, they didn't say, oh, really? They went somewhere, took it and put it somehow, or dismissed it, but most of the time used it. I know almost to the moment that people talk to me about my role, it was almost like they talk to you. That's what's missing. That's what I'm talking about. It was wonderful for me to be in it. Thank you so much, and I love that little boy. You can give him to me. Yes,
Ms. Nichols, of course, we're all echoing, just how much of a part of our lives you and the rest of the cast were. But
Thank you so much.
You got to spend so much time with these people on set. I mean, there's so many great memories. Of course, the first kiss between you and Kirk, the songs that you got to sing in a couple of the episodes. I was wondering, what is your favorite memory from shooting the show?
Oh boy. From beginning to end, it wasn't about me. It was about the character. And then that means the character can't mean anything without the other characters. So the show for me taught me how I go about anything that I do in the acting field, outside of it, but especially, I'll use the acting field, that it affects you, what people say, do, how you interact with them in the script, outside of the script, because in the script says such and such a way, and you realize sometimes that outside of that script, outside of what it says, what it seems to say is meaning that many times it's saying something else. It's saying more. It's saying that, but it's saying more. And it taught me. I thought I knew everything, about acting, but you never know everything. You learn in every show you do, in every script that you receive or read that you may never do. You learn where something is coming from. You're not just talking at another person or at the world. You're talking with them, about them. Maybe when you're talking about yourself, it's radiating in that person that you're talking to, and they're taking it and using it. Yeah, I do that. I should maybe do more or do less. Or you learn from one another. And that's the beautiful part of acting. You learn from one another without cheating, without acting their role, or being something else. No, you create that role and you climb in it and you become it, and it's awfully hard to get over it. After it closes, you live that character that you created lives with you. Thank you.
Last question, please. Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Nichols, thanks for coming. My name is Mark. I wanted to bounce off of what she had mentioned about on the documentaries about the influence Dr. King had on you. And some of the younger people might not know, it was the first kiss broadcast between an African-American and a Caucasian. And I just wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about on that, how it affected you and the set and the actors, and maybe what was going on in America and the impact on our culture that might have done.
Okay, are you talking about the first interracial kiss?
Yes, ma'am.
The first interracial kiss that I was aware of was my great-grandmother and grandfather. So I was used to them. So this is the truth. So in my family, there was no such thing as black, white, yellow, brown, red. There was such a thing, but it's not something that affected you. A human being is a human being, and how that human being and you get along affects you properly, irrespective of black, white, brown, or red, yellow, pink, or blue. You're talking person to person. You're reacting. And you learn that from acting so deeply that no matter what situation you're in, that's another person. That's another human being. And instead of taking over the conversation and showing them how much you know, you realize you're learning something that you didn't know before you came in. And you take it away with you. And the person may or may not ever know that, but it's not about that. It's about something presenting itself to you for you to use. And that's what's being introduced to someone is. How many times have you been introduced to someone and you look and say, oh, hi, how are you? And you think you know that person. And that person almost says, hi, how are you? How have you been? But they don't know you and you don't know them, but you know them from that moment on. From this moment on. But you do. You do. And that's I believe, the wonderful thing about human nature and human beings. We are born and we grow up and we relate to our sisters and brothers and mother and father, and whatever else. And then we go to school and, gee, that's tough. And then you learn how to relate there and get along. And life is like that. We're learning every day how to get along with your fellow human being, no matter what color, what race, what gender, whatever. And if you don't, I'm sorry for you. You ought to be. You ought to be.
That is...
Thank you.
That is fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
I thank you so much.
I personally only have one quick question before we put a close to the proceedings here, and that is in relation to the interracial kiss. Was William Shatner a good kisser?
I never talk out of school.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, so much. Once again, a big hand for Nichelle Nichols. Thank you so very much. I got that. I'll take it. Thank you.